Well, go on, everybody. Lennox here from Simple123 Trader. This is the weekly playbook outlook for the week of December 27th to the first day of 2021. Hoping everybody's doing well and are safe. Let's take a look at the futures and see what the future holds for some of these currencies and the US indices. All right, so we'll start off with the Australian dollar on the weekly time frame, and lots of strength in the Australian dollar. Again, another strong week coming up for the Australian dollar. As last week mentioned that we'd get a pullback, but we'd still see strong strength into the week, and it did just that, pull back, and then came very strong back in the end. And we're again looking at strength in this week's bar already, and looking to push and break the resistance area. So if I went to the monthly on this, you could see we have quite a ways to go into resistance. So lots of room for this to push to the upside. So on the daily, we're looking very strong to the upside, and I would look at this as lots of strength and continued movements upwards for the Australian dollar. Okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, on the monthly time frame. It's just in free territory, just going along. Lots of strength in Bitcoin, as suggested that it would continue its strength, and it sure did, and it's breaking to new records, new record highs, and doesn't look like it's going to be turning back anytime soon at this point. This week, again, looking really strong here, so could get a little bit of a lull, but it looks very strong overall, so I'm not even going to go against that at all. Let's take a look at crude oil on the weekly. Also, crude oil looking super strong here. I'm seeing this continued move up to resistance in this area going forward and into this week, looking again really strong for crude oil to continue its move to the upside. Right now, yeah, just more strength here from this level. We could get a little bit of a consolidation in here before it goes again, but overall, the trajectory is to the upside for crude oil. Let's take a look at the Canadian dollar on the weekly. Okay, lots of strength in the Canadian dollar as well. It pulled back quite a bit as expected, but it came back in the end, and I would see this also continuing to the upside into this week. So here is a look at the setup, and we could see a push back up to the highs before any kind of a consolidation. So lots of strength in Canadian dollar as well. Okay, let's take a look at the US dollar on the weekly time frame. We're still in a free fall to the downside, and if I go to the monthly on this, now you can see where we are overall, coming back down to these resistance levels down here. We still have a little bit of room to go, so more weakness, continued weakness to the downside for the US dollar into this week. And again, you can see that we're totally in a downtrend, and breach of this low here will see us continue down, and it looks like that's what's going to be happening more than likely. Okay, let's take a look at the euro on the weekly. Euro also has lots of strength. We're expecting, last week I was expecting a little bit of a pullback on most of these currencies, and then a push back up, and indeed they've all kind of done a similar dance. So we had the pullback, and now we're pushing again to challenge those highs, and I can see that again we're coming back to challenge these highs, and we could even break through this week with these currencies. Okay, so lots of strength again in that. Let's take a look at the Swiss franc on the weekly. Also very strong on the Swiss franc. We had a pullback, but now we're pushing back up again, and it's a little slower than the other ones. We had quite a pullback here, but again, I can see this building and taking another push towards the highs for this week as well. Okay, let's take a look at gold and on the weekly. Okay, so gold overall, I'm seeing a push to the upside, but of course, in the interim, we could see a little bit of a jig here before we get that final push to the upside. But we're definitely looking to go to the upside here on gold, and on the daily. Okay, we've already established a low, and again now looking to push back up to this resistance area and beyond for this week. If this is totally incorrect, then of course we're going to be breaking these levels and continuing back down. I'm going to go back one more time to the weekly time frame, and yes, we are in a trench here, but I think that we have established the lows at this point, and we should. You can see that we're inside this little trench. We should break through to the upside this week. That's what I'll be looking for here for some strength in gold, especially with the continued weakness in the US dollar. Okay, next one is Japanese yen on the weekly time frame. Japanese yen has been very, very choppy, and of course, with US dollar weakness, this choppiness is probably going to continue. It's pushing towards the upper bounds of this channel that it's in right now, and that we might get a little bit of strength going into this week, but overall not really liking this this very much because of its volatility. You can see it's very volatile, so we could get one more push up, meeting this area before we come back down. So a little bit of strength maybe for the Japanese yen into this week, just slightly, I would say. Okay, we'll take a look at the New Zealand on the weekly. Also, lots of strength in New Zealand going forward, and again, continued strength. Again, we were looking at for that pullback last week. We got it, and now it's pushing back with lots of strength, lots of vigor to the upside to break the highs. Okay, next one is the Mexican peso. Excuse me. And on the weekly time frame, also lots of strength in Mexican peso. Again, we were looking for a pullback, and we got that pullback last week, and now we're pushing again to challenge the highs that were made previously. So it looks very strong for Mexican peso, especially again with a weak US dollar. Okay, and we'll take a look at the British pound. British pound had some good news last week with Brexit deal being made and so forth. So that after a little pullback here as well last week, we got a nice push in the end. So I would expect now continued strength in the British pound for the remainder of the week. Okay, we're coming up right against resistance, however, so we might have a little bit of a challenge here, but I would expect prices to continue to the highs. Okay, and next is the silver. Okay, so silver on the weekly. Okay, also we were also in a channel just like gold was, hit down to a level here and pushing back to the upside. So I would expect further strength challenging the highs for silver. So going into this week, again, looking for continued movements to the upside for silver. Okay, and for the Russell 2000 small cap stocks, these are all the stocks, the small guys. Lots of strength. Just doesn't seem like any stopping this Russell 2000. It's just going to the mid cap, small cap stocks, and it's just a going. So looking really good. We had quite a pullback there last week, but as expected, a little bit of a pullback, but then it just started back again, and I expect continued strength into the week, especially as we come closer to the beginning of the year of 2021. Okay, so that would hold out as well for the Dow, and you can see we're sitting right at a resistance on the weekly and looking to break through the new highs again coming this week and into 2021. So with the vaccine and all that kind of stuff, even though I think that's all factored into all these moves and so forth already, we're going to see continued push into the new year as more hope filters into the psyche of investors. Okay, so lots of strength here. Look on the S&P 500 and the U.S. technology group as well would be similar. Let me see if I can get that to come up. There it is. So lots of strength. We're at a resistance, but there's lots of strength pushing into this week. So I'm just seeing this continuing up for this week. Okay, so that's a quick look at all the futures and you know, if you're playing the major pairs, as our members at the Simple 123 Trader group do, we keep our eyes on the US dollar because that's the catalyst for playing the major pairs. All right, so profitable trading to everyone. Be safe. We're done now. Thank you.